can see. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Let everybody kind of calm down in the offices a little bit, and hopefully everybody's sound and picture they can hear us okay. It's 4:05, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first ever Home Health Practice all hands meeting here at Bayada Home Healthcare. I'm nervous and excited. I'm a little nervous that the technology is not going to work, so hopefully everybody's viewing experience and listening experience is working well. This first attempt at creating really an opportunity for people to connect from all over the country, to feel a part of the bigger Bayada community, I think is something monumental, something we've never tried before. And I'm hopeful that this will be a test case and a springboard for something that we can do a lot more of in the future. And so this time we included a group of folks from across the country, different roles, different geographies, different tenure at Bayada, and have a whole bunch of topics that we're going to spend some time talking about, including some of those submitted by those out across the country, across our employee population. And first, I thought it'd be good just for everybody to introduce themselves. So we'll kind of go, I guess, left to right if everybody can see the images the same way I can. We'll start with Ashley, and then go to the right and have everybody introduce themselves, a little bit about themselves here at Bayada, and then we'll jump right into it. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Brown. I am working at the Lower Bucks Business Office in Pennsylvania. My role is the Client Service Manager, and I have been here for 4 years.
Very good. Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah.
Donette.
Hi, everyone. My name is Donette Brown, and I'm a nurse and the director of Hudson County Visit Office, which is in Jersey City. And I've been here about 3 years with Bayada.
Great. Thank you. Jenny.
My name is Jenny Long, and I am a physical therapist. I have been here with Bayada for 2 years. I actually just celebrated my 2-year anniversary last week.
Very good.
And I am in the WSV 126 office, which is part of the Shamrock Division in the Pittston office in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Very good. Thanks, Jenny. Lindsay.
I am Lindsay Bomblin. I am at the JCV division in Williamsburg, Virginia. I am an occupational therapist, and I have been with Bayada for almost 3 years.
Great. Thanks, Lindsay. Pam.
Hi, I'm Pamela Dannenberg, and I'm the director in the Phoenix, Arizona office, and I've been here almost 3 years.
Good. Thanks, Pam. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Springer, and I'm a client service manager at the Tucson West Visit Office here in Arizona, and I will be celebrating 4 years this June.
Great. Thanks, Rebecca. Terry.
There
you go. I got you.
Okay. I'm Terry McIntyre. I'm the clinical manager here in Newark, Delaware. We're all for 29, and I've been with the company almost 12 years.
Our most tenured hanger-outer. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
So I'm David Bayada. I've been here for as an employee for about 10 years, celebrating 10 years this year. I lead the home health practice, which at Bayada really encompasses Medicare certified home health and hospice. And I'll describe a little bit more about what home health means and describe that in a little more detail. Excited to be here, excited to have you all participate. I want to preemptively thank the group on the Hangout for being brave enough to put themselves out there in front of potentially over 1,000 people and share their ideas and represent their peers in this forum. I also want to thank Jenny Long's grandma for participating. Who's at home watching today, so shout out to Grandma. So let's kind of jump right into it. I think we were going to start with Jenny. I know you have a question prepared, and we'll see where it takes us. For us.
too. I love my team here in northeastern Pennsylvania, but I would also really love to better understand how Beata is organized across the country. If you could tell me a little bit about that.
Good question. I think we definitely find that it's easy to get so focused on your individual office or sometimes your division or your geography that, and as we've grown and evolved as an organization, it's hard to keep up with sometimes. You know, we have evolved from kind of a multi-specialty group of offices that provided a whole bunch of different services, home health services, to being more of a specialty practice organized company. So at Beata, we're really structured into what we call specialty practices, home health, which you all on this call are obviously familiar with, hospice, what we call assistive care, and then assistive care specifically for Medicaid programs, and then habilitation, which is really about behavioral health, providing services for the developmentally disabled population, autistic population, pediatrics, and then private duty adult nursing. And so all these together make up what we call Beata Home Health Care, but each of them is kind of starting and to evolve into its own more independent specialty practice with common standards and common values. So then within Beata within the home health practice, which all of you are a part of, we're about 72 locations in 15 states, about 3,000 people, so about 500 or 600 office employees and about 2,500 field clinicians make up the home health practice. And as you all know, with only one or two exceptions now, any office that provides home health services, medical certified home health services, that's all they do. There are some other specialties at Beata where multiple specialties are provided in the same office, but within home health, those of you in your office, it's all you do. And so we're focused primarily on the Medicare population, the geriatric population, the chronically ill population. And I think what I am most amazed by as I spend a lot of time in different offices that despite all the diversity across the country, 15 states, urban, rural, at the end of the day, we have some very important commonality despite how we're organized. And the first is the Beata Way, and common values, common purpose, a common thread of why we're here and why we do this. And then more tactically, we have common tools, common standards, how we do things, and maybe most importantly, we have a common population of people that are in need that we're trying to help. And I think what I'm most excited about with this forum is that we can kind of break down these geographic barriers and connect more often, because despite how we're organized, whether it's within your office or the division, the group of offices in your area, or as a practice or as a region, which is a group of divisions, we have so much in common and so much opportunity to share, and I think that this is hopefully the beginning of that. Lastly, we have groups of support services. So these are teams primarily based in the Philadelphia area that do a lot of the things that kind of the unsung heroes in many ways, that the things like setting up your tablet to making sure your paycheck arrives on time, making sure that the federal government pays us for the services we're providing. We have a lot of teams, some that support the entire company and some that are focused specifically on home health, that really work hard behind the scenes to make it possible and easy for you all to, as easy as possible, to do your work every day. Hopefully that helps. I'd be curious if anybody has anything to add in terms of what they've learned about how we're organized and trying to understand over time as they've been here, you know, whether it's a year or 12 years like Terry, what you've learned or maybe the hard way about how we're organized.
I think the fact that the Beata Way guides everything we do in regard to our clients, in regard to employees, in regard to how we treat each other, and just the compassion that we have and being reliable and striving for excellence at every turn is so very important and so special about Beata itself.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Donette, any thoughts on what you've learned as you tried to understand and navigate your way through the Beata organization since you've been here?
I think I agree with everything that has been said. I am amazed at how diversified we are and how connected we are. The Beata Way is that glue that guides us together. And it's interesting that it doesn't matter which office you are, you can always get that supportive, there's an expectation in terms of service delivery and the quality of service that you're going to get. So I just feel as much as we are a large organization, the Beata Way is that glue that holds us together, in some ways make us even smaller than we seem to be, because everyone can expect the same standard of care no matter which office or what state you're from. So I find the connectedness is what holds us together as a glue.
Thank you. Terry, I'm curious, you've been here the longest, so how have you seen Beata, how we're organized, the different structure, the different services, what's been your sort of observation and retrospect on how it's evolved since you've been here? Because we're probably 4 times larger, so 4 times as many offices. We have 260 total as a company today. When you got here, we probably had somewhere around 70 or 70 maybe, 60 or 70, so we're much bigger.
You're right, David. You're right, and this is really phenomenal to see this, because when I started out, like you said, this office here, 99, we were not even down past, Delaware is a small state, number one, but we didn't even go to Kent County at that time. And there's only 3 counties in Delaware. The fact that we're actually knocking on Sussex County, the last county in Delaware's door, because we've grown by leaps and bounds, even with all the transitions, with the home care home base coming on board. We're now not branded as Beata Nurses, we're Beata Home Health Care. So that said, we encompass the whole team. So it's just a beautiful thing to be able to see that, and people are just, chipping in. That is definitely the Beata way, and that has been instilled from the beginning of time since I've been here. I do also want to say that bigger and better things are yet to come. We have a strong team. We have great, powerful leadership, all the way from Mark Beata on down, and I believe that the team itself, has dealt well with all of the Medicare guidelines and rulings that have come down and continue to come down the pike. We just continue to persevere. So I started in the field, but now as a management, it's also great to be a help and support to those and help coach and mentor people that I now see could be bright stars at Beata. So it's just great to see that.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Terry. Anybody else want to add anything about kind of how we've evolved as an organization since you've been here? Cool. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I joke I've been here my entire life, which is partially true in some capacity. And, I never, until I started here as an employee, I never really knew that much about the organization. It's changed a lot since I've been here, but I definitely have a lot of memories as earlier in my life of, the people and just watching things evolve. The sort of current Beata is in so many ways so different, but I think what I continue to be amazed about is that despite that there's more names on the organizational chart, or there's more division flowers, or there's more types of service, there's so much that's very similar to when we were much smaller many years ago that it's sort of amazing. And the fact that we still have a close-knit culture despite our growth is kind of an amazing thing to watch, and I say that objectively, it's pretty cool. Donette, Donette, why don't you share your question with us?
Okay, David, as you know, the Beata Way is more than a concept. It's a way of life for us. And it's really what draws or what drew me here. It's the work that I do, and it's really what drew me to this company. How then do we ensure continued connection to purpose and values as we grow and as we face the challenges that we do with regulatory bodies and what's to come in the future?
It's a good one. So this is something I think about more than any other topic, particularly as we grow. We hire probably hundreds of people a year, and the idea of ensuring that people are tuned into who we are, what we stand for, they're aligned with purpose, and that they are feeling connected to the Beata Way, as if they've been here much longer, is something that's really hard to do. I think, when I reflect on that, I'd say there's probably three things that I think about. The first is clarification. Some people that have been here a long time probably remember when the Beata Way was not a document, it was just kind of the way we did things. And it really wasn't that long ago. When we only wrote down the Beata Way about 8 years ago. And so the idea of clarifying values and re-clarifying values to ensure that they are top of mind and connecting to the document, reading the document, ensuring that the words and the vocabulary are sort of top of mind is an ongoing process, but it's sort of part one. Part two is the idea of communication of values. So we spent a lot of time, and admittedly, this Hangout is one forum through which we communicate values and reconnect to values. And so the communication process, particularly as we get larger, is pervasive, right? The language that we use in email, how we set goals, and how we present ourselves to our referral sources, to new employees. We're constantly connecting our work and our words to the purpose and to the value system. And then the third thing, I think, is the hard part, which is alignment, right? How do you ensure that the work you're doing, the actions, the tasks, the everyday stuff is connected in some way to purpose? And this is it's hard. It's really hard because you get into the weeds a little bit. You start dealing with a challenge of the day or something that is, really bogging you down in a day or in a week, and remembering that it's how it connects to our vision to help millions of people worldwide to be here in 100 years, to be the world's most trusted team. Making that bridge from values to day-to-day work is very difficult and takes a lot of repetition. Many of you are probably very familiar with how we infuse the Beata Way and our vision statement into our strategy, into our goals, our annual planning process, our quarterly planning process, and hopefully it gets infused into the things in each and every office. So your stand-up meetings every week, your staff meetings every month, your case conferencing. And I encourage you, if you don't feel like it's properly infused into those forums, infuse it. Even if you're a per diem field clinician and you don't feel like the Beata Way is a top of mind enough in the interactions you have or the work that you're doing with your team, take the responsibility, infuse it. Align your team and your work with our value system. It's not just your director's job, it's not just my job, it's not your manager's job, it's not just one person's job, it's our collective responsibility to connect to purpose and ensure that we work together to make the vision come true. And it's a daily exercise. It's the thing that I think we will spend a lot of time on forever. But I think it's also what makes us different. It's also what makes us different. So I don't know, Pam, maybe give me a sense. You've been in a lot of different offices. I'm curious to hear your perspective on, and as a director, how you find that the Beata Way finds its way into our work and isn't just a document on the wall per se. Ooh, Pam, your mic's off.
Okay, sorry. It was really interesting because I did have the privilege to go to other office in Tucson and work. And with this Beata Way, it allows you to go to different offices, and you know that everybody who works there has the same core values, the same mission, the same goals. They care about their patients, and they care.
Our first drop off. It was only a matter of time. Can anybody complete that sentence? Lindsay, you want to chime in?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it kind of speaks to the caliber of people who either are employed by Beata or stay with Beata. They are people who tend to want to go above and beyond and really believe in those values. And I think that that's really important because it makes us stand out as a company. I think everyone who walks into each of our clients' homes knows it's a privilege to be there. And I think that that's really important. So and I think that's how those values really stand out and make us different from other healthcare providers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we take care of your goal to take care of 1 million patients, when we just walk into their houses, our #1 goal through you and through the Beata Way is to give the most excellent care and show compassion to our patients, and it just shines through in everything we do, from the person who's answering the call in the office to the higher up to the field clinician who's doing whatever the patient needs just to keep them in their home and do the best we can to serve them.
Well, thanks. Rebecca?
Well, I was just going to add some of the ways that our offices work collectively within, even just within Tucson. I mean, our office staff are getting together on a regular basis to ensure consistency and that we're using the Beata Way in all that we do with our processes and make sure that we're delivering what's expected of us. And I just think that we all hold each other to very high expectations because of the Beata Way, and it's allowed us to provide excellent care, like Jenny said, from the bottom up and from the top down.
Yeah, that's important. I'm glad you said it. Collectively hold each other to high expectations. I hadn't really thought of it until we are having this discussion. Sort of the idea that it's our collective responsibility, and the value system is so important, but everybody gets caught up in the day-to-day, and you get stressed out. You're in the middle of a challenging situation, or you've got other things going on in your life. I mean, the Beata Way and your work is not all you deal with in life, and so I think helping each other in a constructive and supportive way to collaborate, remind each other of why we're here when people are down and when people are struggling, and support each other as sort of as the document says, to really as a group of committed professionals working together towards a common goal is really a powerful force. And when it's working, I visit a lot of offices, and where the teams are connected and aligned to purpose and values, and then understand how those values translate into real goals, whether about growth and quality, people, financial sustainability. They understand that bridge between our value system and the things they do every day to make to connect those values to results is a really powerful thing to watch, and I think it's what makes us different. It's a really meaningful thing, and I'm proud to be part of it. So, Rebecca, why don't you share your question with us?
Sure. Well, David, it seems like every week there's a new regulation or a new cut in reimbursement. What is your outlook for the future of home health in Washington, and how do you think Beata is going to adapt to it?
That's a good question. Another thing that I wish I spent less time thinking about but unfortunately, I'm spending a lot of time trying to both predict what's going to happen and then prepare for adaptation. I think, you know, at the most broad level, the dialogue around healthcare reform, I think, is really putting a spotlight on the fact that we get, as a system, as a healthcare system in the United States, we get mediocre outcomes, and we spend a lot of money to do it as a healthcare system relative to other countries. And so people are really focused on, wow, how do we get better outcomes, better results, and do it as efficiently as possible. You know, in that context, the good thing is that, you know, almost anybody you talk to says, wow, home health is, number one, the lowest cost setting of care when it's appropriate for those that have choices between a comparable stay in a facility of some sort versus home. Home is the lowest cost setting, but more importantly, there are very few clients that I think would tell you they'd rather be in a subacute facility or a nursing home than at home. And so it's the preferred setting. And I think that one very positive byproduct of all of the healthcare reform dialogue is that it's bringing attention to our work and the value of what we do. And so that's a really meaningful kind of evolution that I think is going on. On the flip side, however, I think that we have to recognize, unfortunately, and I believe this, and we're probably in the middle of it, but reimbursement for our services, despite the recognition that it's valuable, will go down. Over the past 2 years, we've seen about 7% decrease in our reimbursement through the Medicare program, and I think we will continue to see it decline, although hopefully not as much. So reimbursement will go down. We believe that strongly. We've believed it for a long time. But, and at the same time, unfortunately, complexity and regulation will go up. And so effectively, we, I think, are very confident that unfortunately, over the next 5 to 10 years, people will increasingly recognize what a wonderful thing we do, but they will pay us less and ask us to do more. That's sort of the inevitable truth. We spend a lot of time trying to minimize the decrease in pay and minimize the increase in complexity, but it's kind of the scary truth. So in that story unfolding, we have a lot of both challenges, but I kind of look at it as opportunity. As a large organization that's been doing this a long time, this is not the first time things have been challenging. We've been dealing with this kind of stuff for a long time. And so for us, it's how do we continue to adapt and leverage our value system, our culture, our resiliency, our history and sort of experience to kind of get ahead a little bit of what changes may come down the pike. And so I think there's probably two big key themes that we've been spending a lot of time thinking about as it relates to preparing to adapt and to be agile, to be more efficient, and to prepare for change. The first is, and many of you can appreciate this because you're a part of it, is we spend a lot of time trying to measure and communicate the value of our work. All right, so one of the reasons we talk about 30-day hospitalization a lot is because we want to be able to go to the community and go to the government and go to the insurance company and tell them how much better we are at this than others, so that they are cognizant of the value that we create in the overall healthcare system. And there are lots of examples, hospitalization being one, of ways that we're trying to measure and codify the value that we're bringing to the table. And so the measuring performance, outcomes, are all part of that story. How do we definitively and non-negotiably explain to people, this is why you need us? And that's been a journey that we've been on for a long time, and many of you have been a part of that story, and I think you will continue to see it. And how do we measure and codify what we do? And then the second thing is, there's a lot of dialogue about shared savings, right? So in general, much of the healthcare reform is, well, if high quality providers are able to get equal or better results, which we have to be able to measure, which is point number one, equal or better results, but are able to do it at a lower cost, then we want to share those benefits. So the government, the insurance companies are all coming to us and saying, if you can do just as well or better, but help save costs in the whole system, then we want to help give you some of that benefit. So for example, the reason hospitalization is important is because the average hospitalization costs $15,000. Well, there's insurance companies that come to us and say, can you implement telehealth? And we say, yes, but telehealth is very expensive. And so we'd love to implement telehealth. We believe in it. We think it's wonderful for the client, for the family, for the physician, but it's very expensive to implement telehealth. So if we do it and we help you reduce hospitalizations, meaning less $15,000 hospitalizations happen, then will you help offset the cost of telehealth? Because otherwise, we're doing it to get better outcomes, but then you're getting the benefits as an insurance company. We want to take some of that and share it with the people that are working so hard to get the results, right? With the employees, with the organization. And so the idea of shared savings is something that we've been pushing a lot. It's predicated on our ability to do a good job. They're not going to share anything with us unless we get a good result. But what we want to be able to do is get great results and use it as a way to earn value that we can then reinvest, to attract, to reward and recognize people, to invest in new programs, to take care of different types of people, to get better technology, to do all wonderful things. But today, a lot of the value that we create and can articulate is benefits, certainly for the patient and the family, but the reimbursement system doesn't support it yet. And so I think you take all these things together, it's about agility, measurement, and articulation of why they need us, and then asking for a share of what the benefits that we create. And so as an organization, I spend a lot of time on this, and I do a lot of observation and interaction with other organizations, both within home health and in the healthcare system at large. We're ahead. We're thinking about this in a way that not many organizations are, but it's going to take a lot of work, and we have to be agile. So being prepared for change and adaptation and the flexibility to take a new regulation or a new program and implement it so that we can quickly adapt to whatever changes happen that come down from the government is really difficult and very complicated and a lot of work. But I think we're in a good place. I think we're in a really good place, and I think we're on the right track. Hopefully that kind of gets at the question. I'm curious to hear, that's sort of a very conceptual perspective, right? It's a little bit lofty. I'm curious to hear from what you all may be seeing in your markets as far as how other organizations are adapting to change. And even with granular change that you've experienced, be it reimbursement cuts, or maybe it's with how people are dealing with face-to-face or therapy reassessments, and what are you hearing in your communities, and what are you observing among your peers? I don't know if anybody wants to take a first
David,
stab.
I know in our office, we still have some of our competitors who are still on paper. So I know that us being ahead on home care, home base is a huge advantage here in our territory.
Yeah, good point, Ashley. Thank you. That's a good one. It's kind of amazing. Well, actually, I'm curious if anybody laments, anybody is nostalgic of the paper days.
I mean, David, I mean, the challenge with insurances and even the physicians, I think the challenge in getting across to them that we can't do BID wound care or daily wound care. We have to be smarter, and episodic management is something as far as sustainability with the company. I mean, this is a business. It is extremely important that we continue to even educate our referral sources. I mean, because sometimes, you know, they want to go to, oh, continue the old way of doing things. I mean, unfortunately, that's just not where it is any longer. So that's a
really good
challenge
point.
in itself, but I think we're doing a great job in trying to meet that.
That's a really good point. Donette, I'm curious to hear from your perspective. You deal uniquely, at least among the group in the Hangout, you have a very strategic and important relationship with a medical center that is trying to evolve as well. And I'm curious how this plays out with that relationship and in your market, because it's a little unique.
I wanted to say that one of our strengths compared to a lot of other agencies out there is that we spend a lot of time at Beata in educating our staff and developing tools that helps us, sets us apart and prepares us for the future. I've worked at many home care agencies before, and one of the things that I think is unique to us is that Beata truly believes in education. So there's a lot of time being spent, whether it's a CSM webinar, the clinical manager, the director's webinar, in just educating everyone to be on that same page in helping us all as a unit move forward. The challenges that you have in the community is that people are still struggling with the basics. Things like visit utilization that we're working on right now, we're leaps and years ahead of a lot of our competitors because those are not language that are currently being spoken in the marketplace. So that becomes a struggle. I am very proud of the fact that we're lightheaded here ahead because we tend to look at what's coming at us. We're very proactive as a company, as a unit. We have tools in place that we can make strategic decisions at a split second. We don't have layers of bureaucracy that impedes our growth, and that just helps us to move that much quicker. Our relationship with organizations like Jersey City Medical Center and other organizations such as that is that people are looking at outcomes. It's no longer, you know, you have 10 different companies who are all saying the same thing. We're great on quality. Everybody has the same message. Today, our strategic partners are looking at results. Show me, demonstrate to me that you can do it. And for that, we're very fortunate because we have the tools and we have the product to show them. So they want to partner with us. They want to have partnership with people who have proven themselves, who can help take them to that other place. The other thing too is that while we're educating ourselves on our business, we're also educating ourselves on the other businesses that surround us, like the hospitals. Their challenges are our challenges, and we make those challenges a priority of our practice. In that way, we can be better partners. They see us as partners, not as vendors, not as salespeople, but as partners. We're in a partnership relationship to provide better outcomes for our patients. So that's one of the strategic steps that we've made as a company to set us apart from the rest of the industry. And it's something I'm very, very proud of.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, actually, it reminds me to make a request of those watching. You know, one of the most important things that we can do is be observant of what's going on in our communities. And the directors know, I ask them all the time, like, what's going on in your market? Like, what's going on? What are your competitors doing? What are your referral sources doing? And so I sort of am always asking, so like, you know, for this group and all those observing, field, office, it doesn't matter. If you see things going on or you have ideas on how to adapt and how to be agile, Donette's point is really important. I mean, the last thing we want is to have like red tape and bureaucracy standing in the way of our ability to evolve and adapt. And so I'm always trying to observe and listen to what's happening so that we can quickly say, wow, that's a trend. That market is, that may happen elsewhere too, so let's figure out a way to adapt. It's a really important skill set that's hard to do as we get bigger, but you all are the eyes and ears in your communities. And the more observant you are and communicative of what you see and hear, the better off we're going to be. It's a huge opportunity if we can get good at it. Others want to comment on what's going on in their local community or their market as it relates to healthcare reform and change and reimbursement regulation? Pam, what about you? We're going to lose you again. Oh well. I don't know, Jenny. One of the interesting things about your market in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, is that you have, I think last time I checked, it's like 150 home health agencies that are providing service in your community, which is geographically pretty large, but in terms of population is certainly not urban. What do you see with all the other providers and your peers that you know that work elsewhere?
You know what? I have worked at other home health agencies myself, and I don't think they can hold a candle to what you offer here at Bayada. Not only in the office itself, from all the help that is there, someone is always ready to teach you, to mentor you. There's always education, but I think what we provide to the client is just above and beyond at all times. And I think one of the things with change is that we are the eyes and ears almost of the nurses too. The communication at Bayada is outstanding between all the different disciplines, and there's always an open door here, and so it just lets us, I think we do more in other agencies that I've seen. The communication is just lacking. No, they don't want to be bothered, whereas here they want to hear everything we have to say and just, use it to help us and help our clients.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, which is at the end of the day, and we've said this as long as I can remember at Bayada, if you deliver the best service available in your community, everything else tends to work itself out, right?
Absolutely.
If you believe in the long-term need for healthcare services in the home, if we are the best provider, so if we strive to do the best job, then people will call us for help, and they will choose us, and therefore we'll have the resources to adapt. And I think that the concepts of healthcare reform and shared savings are introducing a slightly more complex version, which is we need to do the best job of anybody, and we also need to do it more efficiently than everybody else in order to adapt, which adds an extra layer of complexity. But in the long run, and we're very long-term oriented, in the long run, we've always believed if you do the best job, you provide the highest quality, better than any of your peers, any of the other organizations in your community, the money will come, the sustainability will come, everything will work itself out, and we'll be able to last, we'll be able to make the Bayada way come true. It's when somebody starts doing a better job, I'm always get anxious. It's like, wow, that's a really good idea. How come we didn't think of that? And so, always looking for ideas and how to adapt and be agile and be the best provider, because in the long run, people will choose us. That's what matters.
And again, they choose us. They come back. They're looking for us. They're looking for Bayada to take care of them. And they've tried other agencies, and they say, no, we want you guys again.
That's right. That's right. Most people don't realize this, but about 30 to 40, depending on where you are in the country, 30 to 40% of our new admissions each week are clients that we've taken care of in the past. And so these are people that have the option of some event going on in their life, some exacerbation of their illness, where they need us again, and they're choosing us again, which is a powerful testament to the work that we do. And it's one of the key barometers that I use to sort of moderate, like, are people asking for us? And I really believe in the long run, if people ask for us more often than not, we're going to be able to figure all this other stuff out. And it all comes down to service. It all comes down to service. Anybody else want to add anything regarding healthcare reform or any change or how we're going to adapt? Any perspective on the change? Another question I could ask related to this is a lot of the things that we've experienced in terms of change over the past year to 2 years are specifically rooted in our preparation to adapt. And so I'd be curious for anybody's perspective, whether it's a field clinician going from paper to tablets, or in the office going from an old system to a new system, how that's played out for you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and if you feel like it's helping us, helping prepare us for what might be coming down the road. I don't know, Rebecca, put you on the spot.
Well, I just have to say that I think ever since we went on Home Care Home Base, we've definitely become a more efficient operating system, even with regards to just getting orders back into the office signed in a timely manner, getting documentation to our clinicians, getting information just to our doctor's offices or any other partners that we have in providing care to our patients. I really believe that our Home Care Home Bases played a huge role in making us more efficient with all of that.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Lindsay, what's your take on transformation to a tablet as a field clinician that's seen the before and the after, and be honest?
I'm always honest. No, I think that there's been significant benefits of being on the tablet just from the sheer ability to have access to information that we didn't have before. It takes a lot less phone calls to the office to get questions answered when you can see it right in front of you. The intake information is generally available, which you may or may not have had before. You may have just gotten a phone call saying, there's this patient, here's their address, their telephone number, this is their main diagnosis, and you're doing a lot of time figuring out the rest, where now oftentimes it's provided, and I think it allows you to be more efficient and more accurate, which then you provide better services to the client. And I think that that's really, that's the goal, and being more accurate is providing those services in a higher quality. So overall, I think the transition to the tablet has been very beneficial.
Good, thank you. That's good. Pam, hopefully we won't lose your connection. You want to take us home with the last question?
Yes, I'd love to. I think this Hangout concept is a really awesome idea. And I know that communicating and building relationships is key to our success. So I would like to know, how can we use this tool to communicate across the practice?
Yeah, good question. So I have a bazillion ideas. And I think we've been using this a little bit for some of our teams that are spread out across the country. I actually have a hangout with my team every Friday, and so we use this to really for virtual meetings and things. But I think it's sort of the tip of the iceberg. I'd be curious for those in the hangout. I know some of you have used it before. Maybe I'll start with you, Rebecca. You can describe how you've been using this for other purposes, and then would love all of you to kind of chime in on ways that you think we might be able to start to use this framework, this platform, if you will, to help us be connected,
Yeah, sure. I'm a part of the Client Service Manager Innovation Planning team, and we meet once a month, and there's a collection of us, Client Service Managers and Associate Directors, and we use the Hangout to really just meet up once a month and share problems that we might have in our role or solutions to these problems. We also discuss maybe better, more efficient ways of operating. And one of the great things about the Hangout is not only can we see each other, members of the same company across the country, but we can also use the system to show any sort of documentation that we are working on. So there's an option where you can do a screen share, and so instead of sending the email out or sending a document to everybody, we can just pull it up on the screen. We can all look at it at the same time and kind of point out things that we may or may not like, or some changes that we'd like to see. But it's just really nice to be able to see the people that you're working with instead of just talking to them on the telephone. We found it's been a really beneficial way for us to work together as a group and create solutions.
Cool. Lindsay?
So, David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think when we talked the other day, I was, just kind of rattling off some ways I thought it would be beneficial because, as we discussed, I'm not that technologically advanced, but I'm really enjoying this because I think it provides a lot of connectedness with people that you would otherwise never see and maybe not talk to that much. I think I've been working on the acute care hospitalization audits, and one of the things that I had mentioned was I think it would be nice for maybe once a quarter when we're assessing those audits or completing those audits, if we had a meeting where people could meet and talk about interpretation of the questions or maybe even reforming the way the questions are asked. I think the options for use of it are kind of endless, but I think it really allows, like I said, that connectedness. You feel more connected when you can put a face to a name and a voice. So I think that your opportunities are pretty great with this.
Cool. Thank you, Ashley.
I think that it's more personable when you actually see someone that you talk to every day. I mean, as a CSM, you talk to people in all different support offices, service offices, but to put a name, to a face to who they are, is just more personal. So even a call with your MCO coordinator to talk about stuff, someone that you have a really good relationship with, but you've never met,
Yeah, it's true. And I'll take it even sort of maybe way up into the stratosphere. A lot of the ideas we've been talking about are things like special consults from physicians. So you can actually do these hangouts on your tablet, and theoretically we could have a physician that does a special consult with the client and the clinician in the home, or even wound consults, for example, where we could have specialty clinicians with expertise in a particular area that can do a video hangout with a clinician and a client all together inside the house. So in creating communication with clients and families and other practitioners across the country, you can imagine, for example, that not every office has someone with every single expertise, right? So as a network of clinicians across the country, we can start to use video and connectedness to leverage skill sets from all over the place. I mean, there are lots of examples where, for example, in hospitals, they use technology where X-ray radiology specialists in Australia are doing specific types of X-ray review for patients in New Jersey, right? Because there might be a specific expertise, and they can use the technology to pass the images around. So it's kind of a no-brainer where you can start to leverage all of these amazing skills that exist in pockets all over the country at Bayada, and bring them to bear for specific clients and families in need. And that's something that we can do not just within home health, but you can imagine some of our other specialties like pediatrics, where we have very complex children with all kinds of very difficult diseases that require specialty consult at all the time, and specialty skills. And so I think infusing this into our clinical model is a whole nother genre of opportunity. And once we have a tablet in the hands of every clinician inside every house, over time as the connection gets better, it opens up a whole realm of possibility that I think could be really, really meaningful. So lots of ideas. I think in the short term, figuring out ways to connect, affinity groups, groups of physical therapists interested in total knee replacement, or groups of wound care specialists, or groups of client services managers that are experts on how we're going to improve the scheduling process, or all these things are ways to connect people with skill sets and break down geographic barriers that I think can be really powerful if we can figure out a way to harness. So I think we're kind of out of time. One of the things I wanted to just mention before we close out is that I received probably about 30 or 35 questions over email. I got one via text for the town hall component of this, and many of them were revolved around very specific questions about how our benefits are structured, how our why we've chosen to structure vacation time in a certain way. And because they're pretty granular and specific to a particular team or a particular individual, what I've decided to do is kind of take a step back, and I'm going to create another forum, either another Hangout or maybe a Q&A document that the directors can review with their teams in the office to really help address a lot of those questions. Most of them were pretty granular, very specific, not very important, but it's very specific. And so to keep this Hangout meaningful to a large, broad audience, I'm committed to making sure that we answer your questions, but I'm just going to do it in a different way outside of this forum. So bear with me as I work on that over the next few weeks. But I guess in closure, I'm pretty enthusiastic about this. I can't wait to watch the recording. I hope that this experience and the viewing experience worked for everybody. But I want to just thank everybody for their patience and their willingness to participate. I really want to thank the people in the Hangout. This is a little bit of a leap of faith. And so I appreciate you being willing to put yourself out there. You did a really good job, and I'm thankful. And at a minimum, I think we're going to do this quarterly, and we may get into some more tactical things like how we did in the quarter. We rarely share results broadly with field clinicians and all the office staff. So are we taking care of more people? Are we making good progress on realizing the vision of the Bayada Way? Things that we share openly, we just have never created a forum to do it. So I think we'll do something at least quarterly and then take some of these ideas and look for ways to use this technology to create more connectedness. And so in kind of closing, the most important thing that I wanted to end with is that whether it's related to this Hangout or related to anything, your ideas are the most important thing that we have as it relates to our ability to improve, adapt, and innovate as an organization and as a team. And so my sort of call to action, if you will, to all of you that are observing is send them along. Email me, call me, send them, put them in the playbook site, find ways, send them to your director who can send them to me, find ways to share your ideas, frustrations, curiosities. The most frustrating thing for me is when I visit an office and I hear about a team that's been dealing with a recurring frustration, and they never voiced it. And so voicing it, be the squeaky wheel. It's absolutely an expectation, because if you're not, we can't evolve and improve, and we may not always get things done quickly in terms of improving and changing, but until we understand, until you shared your ideas, it's your experience, your eyes and ears in the community inside the home that helps us come up with the best ideas. And so whether it's related to benefits or clinical practice or communication or technology, whatever it is, share it. Share it, share it, share it. It's the only way that we're going to improve. I can't sit here in New Jersey and come up with the answers. They got to come from you, and I'm just going to help you get them done. And that's a really important skill set that we need to develop as a team, and it's going to help us achieve both continued connectedness to purpose. It's going to help us adapt to healthcare reform, and it's going to help us be a more connected culture of professionals working towards common goals. And I think that's what we all want. So I encourage you to be collaborative. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you participating. I look forward to the next time. See you soon.